So this is about the Louisiana forced heirship rules. Doesn't apply in all circumstances, but when it applies, you need to know about it. Louisiana is the only state that has forced heirship rules like this, so you're not going to learn about it in any of the national publications. I'm going to go through 4 different items. The first one is the definition. Who is a forced heir? Who's a person that you have to leave an inheritance to? And I'm going to go to the books to make sure we get it just right. So there's really 2 definitions of a forced heir. The first one is a forced heir is a child who at the time of the parent's death, the child is 23 years of age or younger. That one's pretty simple to understand. The second definition, a lot more complicated, but a forced heir is also a child of any age who, because of mental incapacity or physical infirmity, are permanently incapable of taking care of their persons or administering their estates at the time of the death of the decedent. So goes on to define that in a little more detail, but that's a much more subjective definition. And when the parent dies, is the child, because of a mental incapacity or physical infirmity, permanently incapable of taking care of their persons or administering their estate? Reasonable minds can differ. But know that you have to deal with that. Okay, so the second part of 4 parts is what's the amount that if you have a forced heir, what's the amount that you have to leave them? And essentially, if you have 1 forced heir, you have to leave them 1/4 of your estate. If you have 2 or more forced heirs, you have to leave them collectively half of the estate. Know that, however, if you have a whole bunch of kids, if you have 9 kids and only 1 forced heir, then the forced portion is going to be 1/9 is what that child is entitled to as a forced heir. And then also note that there are certain assets that you have that the forced heirship rules don't apply. Some people have their home and their bank account, but then their largest asset is their IRA or their 401k, or maybe they have life insurance. The IRA, the 401k, the life insurance isn't counted for purposes of determining, what the forced heir is entitled to. So if a person has $1 million IRA, that doesn't go into the calculation of just the other assets go into that calculation. And in fact, if the IRA owner named the forced heir as a beneficiary of the IRA, that amount that beneficiary gets applies toward the forced portion that the forced heir would otherwise be entitled to. So be aware of that. Also be aware that if you have a married couple, and let's say dad dies, he has a forced heir, dad can structure his estate planning so that the forced heir doesn't get that forced portion until after mom passes away or dad's wife, dad's spouse, passes away. So it can be burdened and made subject to a usufruct or an income interest in trust. That's another discussion. So forced heirs don't really have to get it if you don't want them to until both the parent and the parent spouse pass away. And then the final 4th point is even if you have a forced heir, you can disinherit them under certain circumstances. There's 8 reasons under which you can disinherit a forced heir. The one that's used more than any is when the child, after attaining the age of majority, 18, and knowing how to contact the parent, has failed to communicate with the parent without just cause for a period of 2 years, unless the child was on active duty in any of the military forces of the United States at the time. So child turned 18. He said, Mom, Dad, I'm not going to get in touch with you. I know how. I'm not in the military. I'm just not going to communicate anymore. Well, if there's a period of 2 years of no communication, then mom and dad can write their will and expressly disinherit that child, even though they fit under the definition of a forced heir. So there you have it. That's the basics. There's more to it. There's exceptions to rules, so you got to get some help because it's very particular and it's just Louisiana. So get some help. Make sure you get it right, but know when it applies, know when it doesn't apply, and what you can do about it so that you can stay in control of what you have and your estate and how you want to leave things left behind. Hope this helps. Have a good day.